Now, from the north of the Philippines, let's go back to the metro and talk about Pasig River, because the Pasig River is evolving into a dynamic destination that combines recreation with history, offering cyclists and pedestrians a fresh scenic route stretching from the Manila Central Post Office to Fort Santiago. The third phase of the Pasig River Urban Development Project was launched this past February. Now, joining us today via Zoom to discuss this initiative is Assistant Secretary Mark Sambar from the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. Magandang umaga po, Assistant Secretary Sambar, and welcome to It's a Beautiful Day.
Hi, Paulo. Good morning, and good morning to our viewers. Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Asek, let's first talk about the newly opened 600-meter stretch along Pasig River. I've seen the photos, medyo nag-viral nga po siya. What makes this stand out in your opinion? And of course, what is yung intention ng project na to?
Well, the new Phase 3 ng Pasig River Esplanade, it's actually one of the longest that we've inaugurated so far. And what stands out to me for the project is that we created or we rehabilitated a huge chunk of open spaces in that area. For instance, we took the original Plaza Mexico, which was around 2,000 square meters, with the China-Filipino Friendship Park, and then we rehabilitated it, and then we repurposed it, and we created almost 4,000 square meters of new spaces. In addition to that, yung Maestranza Walkway, we created a 240-meter long esplanade right beside or connected to the road lot that was part of the Maestranza. And that opened up another about 3,000 square meters of open spaces. So talagang it's one of the freer areas in and around Metro Manila, especially in Intramuros, na nabigay natin balik sa ating mga public para magamit nila ng gusto yung open spaces.
As like, it's really interesting that we mentioned open spaces numerous times already in that initial statement po. When you talk about yung open spaces, a lot of the focus is also on mga pedestrian at cyclist-friendly spaces in this particular development. Why is it that prioritize po natin yung mga pedestrian at mga cyclists in these areas?
Well, that's a good comment. We noticed naman kasi in Intramuros, well, especially Intramuros, that it's a very pedestrian-friendly area, area ripe with historical and heritage infrastructure, and the best way to go around Intramuros is by walking through it. And ang nagawa po namin with the Pasig River Esplanade Phase 3 was that we were able to connect all of these spaces together. Before we opened the Phase 3, Fort Santiago, for instance, was an isolated parang tourist destination. So ang ibig po sabihin na yun is that when you walked into Fort Santiago, it was impossible for you to go out of Fort Santiago except from the main entrance. Now, because of the rehabilitation through the Pasig River Urban Development, we were able to open the walkway that they had existing before, clean it up, rehabilitate it, and then connect it to the existing esplanade. Now there's multiple ways to get in and out of Fort Santiago. And ang kagandahan nga nito, as you mentioned, since this is very pedestrian friendly, we've connected it to the bridges along the Binondo Intramuros Bridge. We've connected it to Jones Bridge, so that there's a seamless passage of pedestrians and bikers from not only Intramuros but towards to Binondo as well, and through the rest of Metro Manila going towards the Manila City Post Office. So that's what one of the main ideas or the main thrust that we were hoping for with the Pasig River Esplanade is to really open up more pedestrian-friendly spaces, more bike spaces, more open spaces for visitors, both local and foreign, to enjoy.
Asek, you're talking a lot about all these landmarks, the bridges, Binondo, you talk about Fort Santiago, you talk about Intramuros, and in between them, since dumadami na yung foot traffic, literally, in those areas because of the esplanade, local businesses now have an opportunity to develop within this space. Can you tell us a bit more about yung mga, I guess, the businesses there, the local businesses that are growing or developing due to this opened up space and, of course, yung increased foot traffic and even bike traffic in this particular area?
Yes, that's correct. We see that there's a lot of development of the local economies in the area, especially yung mga food and beverage businesses. Dahil yun naman talagang maraming hinahanap ng mga pedestrians as they walk along the esplanade. But I mean, what's nice is that we're able to open up a new space, and then the peripheral businesses also get a boost from this. As you mentioned, the foot traffic has been increasing. I think last year when we first opened our first 2 phases, what we noticed was, of course, it was a slow uptake, pero gradually we were getting about 2,000 to 3,000 people a day in the esplanade early on. And then come the holidays, November, December, dumadagdag na siya to about 5,000. And then I think recently, because of the newly opened phase 3, I think it's even more now because there is really now a clamor, and there's more popularity with the area. So people are really visiting, and of course, when people visit, the local businesses take note as well. Kaya dumadami rin yung mga gustong magtayo, or at least a lot of the businesses are actually benefiting from the increased traffic. And I think, for instance, although I don't know the data yet, but I've been to the esplanade at least once or twice a week to look at and make sure that everything is okay. I noticed there's a lot of foot traffic coming in and out of Fort Santiago, for instance. Kaya I think there's already, like, Fort Santiago is already benefiting from the additional foot traffic from the esplanade.
Asek, we're seeing the increased foot traffic. I believe you did mention if kung ano po yung data recently, especially with the opening of Esplanade in terms of foot traffic. Do we have that number, Asek?
Not yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're getting about 5,000 foot traffic a day. Dahil it's really amazing that the old adage that said that if you build it, they will come really comes to mind here. Dahil I was very, very happy and very, very happy and very, very surprised when I saw. Actually, even before we inaugurated phase 3, we already saw an increased number of foot traffic that wanted to go and visit phase 3 already, but we were still locking down the area because we were finishing some of the constructions. But you can see the excitement of people really wanting to use the open spaces. And gradually, I mean, I've been on site almost very, very frequently the last 3 months. And really, you can see that the foot traffic is really increasing. We have a lot of local visitors, and I see a lot of foreign visitors as well. So you'll really feel that the Pasig River Esplanade is really a destination now for visitors to really visit. Kaya I wouldn't be surprised of the foot traffic. I remember in one of the news outlets before, it was reported that during Chinese New Year, the Esplanade had about 500,000 visitors. Wow. That was before phase 3 was open. So what more now that we've opened this new section? Very Instagrammable, very, very, very Gen Z, very millennial. So Gen Alpha. So it's really a place where people from all walks of life can enjoy, both old and young. Kaya natutuwa po kami sa Interagency Council that the reception for phase 3 has been very, very positive.
Asek, have you shot a TikTok there yourself?
Not yet, but I've taken a few Instagram photos.
Okay. So wala pa sa platform na yon. But it's so interesting that you mentioned that naging destination ng Pasig River because having grown up here in the Philippines, especially in the 90s, in going to the 2000s as well, the narrative was always yung Pasig River is dead. The Pasig River is something that people are trying to avoid. They don't like the smell. They don't like the look of it. Pero ngayon, nagiging parang tourist destination, or at least playing a big part in terms of bringing back life to that particular sector, particular section of Manila. You take a look at what Pasig River can potentially become with the opening of yung Esplanade po. Just how significant is the role of this Esplanade into changing the narrative of what Pasig River is, what we can do for Pasig River moving forward as well?
Well, as you know, the Pasig River is really one of the major lifebloods of the Metro Manila. I mean, it connects, I think, 5 or 6 major cities, namely Manila, Makati, Mandaluyong, Taguig, Pasig, and to a certain extent, Taytay and Rizal. Now, connecting those mega cities together is of course, it's not a small feat. Kaya, Pasig River has always been an option to become a connector to all of those cities. Now, there's been many different proposals from different stakeholders. And of course, all of those proposals are very valid. Pero yung ginagawa nga natin is, instead of putting more of the usual infrastructure that people are used to seeing that take many, many years to construct, what the President and the First Lady are aiming to do is really to create a more pedestrian-friendly, bike-friendly, alternative transportation-friendly pathway along these cities. Diba? So that's where the Pasig River Esplanade comes in, and that's why it's called the PBBM project, or the Pasig Bigyang Buhay Muli project. It's because we want to revitalize the Pasig River, not only through bringing pedestrians, bringing bikers, bringing alternative transportation forces into the Pasig River, but also to give focus back to the Pasig River.
Yeah.
Like you said, people used to avoid the Pasig River, or people are used to avoiding Pasig River because there are many parang foul aspects of it. Pero, I think one of the things we have to take a look at is we have to face these kinds of things head on, and the best way really is to bring people's attention, especially to the Pasig River. Now, the more people pay attention to it, the more people will question, the more people will ask, why is it like this, and why can't we do better? And I think we've proven that through our showcase in the West Showcase in Intramuros, that when we give focus back to the Pasig River, people really do pay attention. And then people see the beauty of Pasig River. People now understand why the Pasig River is so important to the Metro Manila, and now people are now getting the idea of why it's so important to be able to protect the Pasig River, and how to improve the quality of Pasig River. And moving forward, yun po yung gusto namin gawin sa Interagency Council, of course, led by the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, is so that we can find ways to really improve not only Pasig River but the Esplanade, how to keep connecting it, how to keep people engaged with the Pasig River. Kaya doon na rin po kami papunta. Of course, malaking pasasalamat sa First Couple because they've been giving the full support to the Esplanade, and that their political will is helping us access the other agencies for their support as well. And right now, the Secretary of DSUD, Secretary Acuzar, has already instructed us to already plan out the next few segments so that we can continue with the Pasig River Esplanade.
Asek, we're running out of time, but before we let you go, syempre, a lot of people are going to be wondering, it looks great now, but then when you take a look yung maintenance nito, making sure that it is sustainable, what has the agency been doing to ensure na hindi lang to one-time, big time na may papatayo natin to but then the maintenance won't be quite there right after. What can we do to ensure na mas sustainable yung project po na to?
Well, that's a very, very good question, and that's very, very, very important. I think the biggest part of the Pasig River urban development project would be the maintenance. What we're trying to do right now is parang work with the stakeholders who want to open up businesses along the Pasig River Esplanade to maintain, to be able to help maintain the area, to be able to donate to the Interagency Council so that they can have, so we can have the funds to really maintain the area, to keep paying for the utilities, keep paying for the maintenance, keep paying for the security. Those are the most key important things here na nakakaroon tayo ng peace of mind for the public, both foreign and local visitors. But it's also important to note that we, as visitors of Pasig River Esplanade, we should also treat this open space or these spaces parang bahay po rin natin. So we have to be able to take care of these places and follow the rules of these places. Hindi lang po tayo basta-basta po punta doon, nagkakalat po tayo. Dapat marunong rin po tayong mag-alaga ng ating sariling bahay. And we should treat the Pasig River Esplanade like our own house. So it's really a partnership between what we do in government and of course the private sector na dapat tulungan tayo to maintain and to be able to take care of these beautiful spaces that we have right now.
He is from the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, ASEC, Mark Sambar. Maraming salamat po. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much and good morning again.